Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan, and we are going to preview this Eagles-Jets game, which I joked with you earlier. We haven't talked about it on the podcast, Adam. I gave you a pop quiz. Guess who's announcing this game for CBS a couple of days ago when word came out, and I had never even heard of two of the three. Now, James Lofton is the color commentator. Of course, everybody knows who James Lofton is, but I had not heard, and this is not meant to be disrespectful. I just did not know of the man because we're at games. I don't keep track of a lot of broadcasters, right? So I couldn't tell you who the B, C, D teams are for most broadcasts unless we have a personal relationship with them, like Mark Schlarith, and I know Adam Amin pretty well, and some other guys, right? So who is the play-by-play guy that his name starts with a C? Cantalina.
You told me it was Andrew Catalan. I think
Catalan,
he's very
right.
good. Yeah,
I'm sure he is.
Great energy. Yeah, I not heard of him up to a couple years ago, and doing the CBS games.
Mm-hmm.
Normally it would be he's lucky to get one of the teams to be good at the two.
Right.
It's kind of been when you're lower on the totem pole, as they say in broadcasting teams, you don't usually get the good games, but he's good. He's actually really good. I think. I don't know why they don't think of him. Sometimes this happens with networks where they just depends on how the higher ups see you. Maybe he'll move up, but the fact of the matter is, it's a CBS. It's a cross-flex game because the Eagles are the road team, right? Is it a cross-flex?
Right. Well, it's a CBS game. It's on CBS, is it not?
Right. No, but what it is remember the away team is what would normally get. It would be like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah, it's
right.
cross-flex. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we'll get to listen to it. Because we'll be doing our pregame show, and then we'll have a chance to have our watch party. So as we talked about in the last two podcasts, make sure you come watch with us. You know where the location is. You can find us on any of our Twitter accounts or our at Inside Birds on Twitter. Also, we give away some details. But if you come see us at the watch party and hang with us and give us the password Mylotta, we're going to give you some signed memorabilia. That's right. We give away some good stuff, but this one will be signed, and not by me or Adam, probably by someone who played or plays for the Eagles. All right. Adam and I only sign shoulders and other body parts when people come up to ask us. We don't actually sign hats and socks and things like that.
No comment.
I kid. But no, I think that the broadcast teams are usually, there's a hierarchy there, and it kind of tells you what the NFL thinks of this game to have that broadcast crew doing this game. And let's face it, you have two teams with losing records, as we talk about a little bit. The Eagles are a game under 500. No, I'm sorry, they're 2 games under 500, right?
The Eagles are 5-7.
Yep. 5-7, and the Jets are 3-8 if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So, yeah, you get what you are. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll break down this game. Got a lot of injury news to get through, a lot of updates on person. I thought there was some good news that came out of the Eagle out of NovaCare this week from an injury standpoint, and some not so good news. So we'll talk about it all. Did you have a chance to listen to Q&A, Adam? It's a fantastic Q&A this week.
The first 20 minutes, this might be their longest one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's 90 minutes, I think. Right?
Yes. It's really good. I tell you,
comments are awesome. Yeah.
I say it's a top 3 Q&A, and there have been some really good ones. But
I was going to say that's saying a lot because there have been some awesome ones.
I think this is the most educational Q&A that we have had in a while. And when I say, I thought some off-season ones were really good because they were breaking down what went wrong last year from a lot of different, from a player's perspective. But the education that you'll get in some of the route concepts that you're seeing and some of the route running that you're seeing from the wide receivers in that game against the Giants, and then also how that marries into the concept of a struggling quarterback and the difficulties of a play caller trying to have some semblance of a passing game when you've got a quarterback limited in some degrees on what he's seeing out there, wide receivers who are limited to some degree on what routes they run well, and then also the chemistry that's just involved. When you're running crossing routes, for example, like that 4th down play that was a crossing route, Devontae Smith, right? And Nick Sirianni brought up the point that wasn't really a well-run crossing route. There was too much space between Quez and Devontae so that James Bradbury there was no interference for him on the first part of the route, on the crossing area. So he was able to kind of stick with it and undercut. Okay. And so they were saying you can blame this guy or that, but the bottom line is you're asking a first-year quarterback with a rookie wide receiver and a second-year wide receiver. You're asking those two guys to have all of the timing and the rhythm and everything down to make that play work to perfection, which is very difficult when you're dealing with so many young players trying to all get on the same page together at the same time. And I know it's week 12, and some of that should be ironed out, and it is. It's not like every pass play sucks, but there's just a lot that holds this team back that is not really visible to the naked eye all the time.
Something we had said repeatedly in the offseason before the season started was that they really need like an Anquan Bolden type receiver, a veteran who's dependable. He doesn't need 60 snaps a game, maybe 20, 25, but on a third down play, in a critical situation, you play 11 personnel and that guy has to be in the game. You'd like to have that. I get that they wanted Hurts to grow with the young receiver group and see what they can do together, at least for a season. We'll see if it'll be a second season together. But not having that veteran was a mistake. That to me, from a personnel standpoint, and they've got speed on this team. There's no doubt about that. Speed's no longer an issue. Boy, 2019 season, it seemed like they were running in mud, but no, that's not a problem anymore. They could run. That's not the issue. The issue is youth versus experience, and they just don't have that guy at wide receiver, and it's really showing up right now.
So sure. I'm sorry, I was muted there for a second. You combine all that with the fact that not only a veteran receiver helps the receivers, right, and shows them the way and helps the quarterback, but also helps the play call. I mean, it's just such a widespread impact. It's not just about helping the receivers or the receiver or quarterback chemistry. It's a widespread impact on the entire offense that I agree. I think we nailed that on the head. They really should have considered that conceptually going into the season and the offseason and when they were assembling the roster. I get wanting the kids to play, and you can still play them while you have a receiver only making like modest contributions. But the lack of that person in the classroom, out on the practice field, I really do agree that has hurt this offense and really, again, hurt the team in general. One other thing that I was really jumped out at me, and it jumped out at me in retrospect because we had Mark Schlarith on ITB TV. So it's on podcasts and it's on YouTube, and please check it out. I know we've had Mark on before, but every time it's like there's new revelations, and he has an awesome story on why he likes Philadelphia fans better than New York fans. So I know everybody's going to enjoy checking that one out. But what's that?
Can I just one thing I would add?
Yeah.
Follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Mark Schlarith. You should see him go at the New York fans. It's really something else. Like, it's not something I would personally do, because people could get vicious.
Yeah.
They're like, it could get, Mark gives it to him. It is really actually funny because he doesn't care.
Right.
And he makes fun of their teams. He makes fun of this. Some of the fans go over the top, but he takes it and he gives it back. It's something else.
Yep.
I cringe at some of the stuff, but you know what? He enjoys it. And we talk about that. Great Aaron Rodgers stuff. I mean, it's critical. He's got some criticism there, but Cardinals. He's got the Cardinals game this week. We talk about the Cardinals, the Eagles, Giants. Obviously, the Eagles a ton. Who else did we talk? The Titans. Boy, this Titans stuff he had was fascinating. This is
the beauty of Mark Schlarith. I just asked him at the end of the show for I'm like, hey, Mark, who's your Super Bowl pick? Just curious. You see a lot of teams, and then 25 minutes later, he went through every single team that is a contender, why they're a contender, why they're not, what he's seen in them, what he's heard. And of course, the Titans stuff was really interesting.
Ooh.
I don't want to give it away, but there is something in the Titans DNA as a team that he felt was really missing, that goes beyond just not having Derrick Henry. So I thought that was fascinating. But one of his really interesting points, Adam, that meshed with the same things that Quentin and Jason said about the offense and Jalen Hurts, is that you've now seen two type of offenses, right? You saw the RPO heavy offense at first that they were running, that did not really work well and suit Jalen's strengths. And then, of course, you're seeing them try to pass it a little bit more after establishing this run game that they have that's been special. and that's struggling as well. And both of them, and it's not like these guys all talk together, but separately pointed out that probably the best offense for Jalen Hurts is the array of McVay style or Shanahan style offense, where you're still under center a lot. You're doing a lot of downhill run and handoff, and then you work your run action, which is a pass, and a play action off of that, which is not really what the Eagles have done, right? They've ran the ball. They went from going downhill against the Lions, and it started against the Raiders and the Lions, and then they kind of evolved it back to a shotgun, outside inside zone rushing attack. And there is some a little bit more motion and stuff, but it's really nothing like it's still a West Coast passing offense when they throw the ball. And those guys think that it should be a little bit. Those guys think that Jalen would function differently in a better. And look, they also said you can't just keep changing your offense and changing offense. So sure. A lot of this is on the quarterback too, but it's just I thought it was a really good point because Mark Schlarith made that same point as well, saying that he felt like there was something that the Eagles don't do that would cater to Jalen Hurts, his skill set better.
It's interesting because Mark's first game that he called was the Niners-Eagles game, which in Philly.
Yep.
Did we have him on before the game or after? I can't remember.
I think we had him on after the game.
Okay. We had him that week, and then he just done he had the Eagles the last 2 weeks, weeks 11 and 12. So he's got, and I love the story he told about Jalen Hurts. Such a great story about his.
Yeah, that was a good story.
And he met with Kelsey last week, so it was just phenomenal. And I was hoping we could get into other teams that he did, and he also gave his feelings on why the away teams. I asked him that question. I don't want to give that one away. I wanted to, from a philosophical standpoint, why in the world are road teams doing better than home teams this season? Now fans are back, so it was Definitely. Boy, it was almost 50 minutes I think we had with him.
Yeah. Like I said, I asked one question at the end, and 25 minutes later, he summed it up for.
It was awesome, man.
Let's think for you.
You love the league, not just the Eagles. If you love the football, you love the NFL, and you want to learn about other teams, he's seen them, so it was great.
Excellent. Yeah, so make sure you're checking that out. All right, let's break down this Eagles-Jets game. Of course, we're going to tell you at the holiday season, right? So get yourself the greatest stuff that you can get at discount prices, and you can win in the process in a competitive spirit, and that's by using Deal Dash, the online shopping platform that's actually fun. Deal Dash is the longest-running penny auction website and app around. Some of the things you can get on Deal Dash, it almost sounds too good to be true, like a car going for $900, a brand new TV for less than $2. So, I mean, if you're like me, I can't stand the perusing, the browsing, the going out to different department stores, and the online has made everything easier, but now you can actually win stuff. So it's like they take all the boring parts of holiday shopping and make it fun with Deal Dash, because you're sitting there just bidding pennies and you have a chance to win something that you want to either keep or give to somebody, and you can get it at like a fraction of the normal cost. So don't be a loser. Stop paying full retail price for things you want and get on Deal Dash. Go to DealDash.com or download the app, and when you register, use the promo code ITB for a special offer for some bonus free bids. All right, Adam, let's, as you know, we always do when we break down the game, we do some transactional stuff. We do some injury stuff first. So let's get to the transaction. The Eagles brought back Luke Juriga, the center, to the practice squad. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Since we did our Wednesday morning show, not only because of the Kelsey injury with the knee, he's going to play, though he didn't really do much on Thursday. Just to have someone who knows their offense, because who knows with this injury whether it can linger or not, and plus he's an older player, and it's a guy that they've had on and off the roster before. They kind of like him. He's now on the practice squad, so
yeah,
he is there. But the injury issue, we'll get to the Jets, but the Eagles have a decent amount of players on their injury report, though I think most will play.
Yes, most will play. I assume so as well. Real quick, did you hear Jason Kelsey's comment about Sua Opeta?
No. What did he say?
He said it in his, I think, Wednesday press conference. Yeah, I was there. I should know. We were all talking about Nate Herbig being the logical starting right guard because Nate has the experience. And he just kind of casually threw in at the end. He said, don't forget about Sua Opeta, though, who's easily forget. I mean, he hasn't played at all this year, I don't think. He said, this guy's stock is hotter than Tesla's right now. That was his exact quote. He said he's been killing guys in one-on-ones.
Wow. Okay.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, I don't expect him to just start Sua Opeta or have a short leash for Nate Herbig, but Herbig did have two pretty bad penalties against the Giants. But I guess we know if there's an injury there and they need another guard, it sounds like Opeta would be the next man up, and it sounds like he's been impressive in practice. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. Look, he would be behind Herbig would be Sue Opeta, and he's been there. He's been there for a bit. I mean, they know him. He's new to this staff, but not new to the O-line coach, who was a holdover, Geoff Stalin.
Right.
So that's interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
he would know. Players know. They're watching he's standing next to him, or when Kelsey isn't practicing or standing on the sideline, he gets to watch him play, and he's also watching the tape. So that's interesting.
Very, very interesting. All right. So obviously the big injury that everybody had their eyes on this week was with Jalen Hurts, who, went to the podium and said, I'm going to play. It's weird because he felt more confident about it than the sentiment you got from Nick Sirianni, who said, we got to see practice and we're going to have Gardner ready to go. And it may be a case where Gardner takes reps and everything like that.
They have to see how. Yeah, no, just like you said it, they have to. It's great that Hurts is saying it. That's fun. He's the one who's got to go out there and play.
Right.
But he's got to show them. This is to me the key point here, as you were talking about it earlier here. He's a dual threat quarterback. So if he cannot, it's kind of like with Taysom Hill. I was thinking about this earlier when Taysom Hill got cleared to start. He has a plantar fascia injury. He's a dual threat quarterback. If he can't run, if Taysom Hill does not run, okay, it's great that he could be a pocket passer, but his special ability is running. I mean, he's a really interesting player.
Yeah.
The Saints had a way playing Trevor Siemian of the Eagles, no, obviously, or Taysom Hill, who's playing with a partially torn plantar fascia, which is a really painful injury. Now you get to Jalen Hurts, who's got an ankle injury. So if you take his ability to threaten the defense with it, because we've been talking about this. Cosell talked about it a couple times on our show the last couple of weeks. They've turned the offense in the run game to Jalen Hurts. They've turned it over to him.
Right.
So if he can't run, right now he's not as an accomplished passer. We all know that. So do you want him back there? That to me is the key. Now he's got to show him on today's practice on Friday that he can take all the reps and he's got no problem. So let me throw this back at you.
Okay.
If you were making the call, right? If you were Sirianni, if you're the head coach, and you think he's limited in his ability to run, this is not year 2 or 3 where he may have shown, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter whether he can run or not. He can throw right now. We're not there yet. We're in year 1 as a full-time starter. Would you go out and say, you know what? I'll trust him. He's limited a little bit, but I think he could go. How would you handle it?
Jalen Hurts is my starting quarterback. That's how it. That's it. As long as he's healthy and medically cleared to play, he's playing. Okay. That's my, if I'm the coach. Now, do I have if he's an injury risk because he's so hobbled and the Jets have seized on this and they're blitzing the bejesus out of him and hitting him really hard, of course I got to have Gardner ready to go and maybe warming up, or I may give Gardner, and it sounds like Nick Sirianni is doing this, giving Gardner some extra reps. They were already started early in the week on the off day, having him prepared. I certainly would have him prepared, but if he's able to play, he's my starting quarterback. That's how I see it.
Okay. I agree with you. You and I are in agreement here. I definitely would. I'm not worried so much his ability to run. He's a quarterback first. You got to throw the football. I understand they're trying to help him by running a lot. I get it, and obviously they run the hell out of it. It's not just Hurts. It seems seemingly anyone that goes in there runs well.
Right.
Miles Sanders said Thursday he's playing. He did some work on Thursday, but the problem again, he got an ankle injury. It's the same one that he had that caused him to be on IR. That worries me. I typically I'm the kind of guy says if these guys can play, they play, but because it's lingering, they do have a bye. We'll see. And then obviously Boston Scott with the illness is expected to go. Boy, he has looked damn good.
He has, well, other than the fumble, but yes, he has looked good as a runner. It was interesting. Miles Sanders said that his ankle really hurt. When he came out, obviously he didn't get that many runs after that, but that it felt much better the day after and the day after. So when he went to the podium on Thursday, he said, I actually feel pretty good. And he even said he's surprised by how good he feels. Now, again, I have no idea if this is all just throwing the media off. It could be, who knows? But it's funny because in his press conference with the Eagles media, the coach, Robert Saleh, said, ankle injury hurts. I'm not buying that. So they're preparing for Hurts as if he's like, going to run and throw and do everything that he normally does. But no, it would almost seem like if you're reading tea leaves and expressions that Miles based on how he felt on Sunday when he
Mm-hmm.
came out of the game, is surprised that he felt pretty good in the middle of the week.
Okay.
And that hopefully that's a good sign, but it also probably goes to show you how quickly it can go from one to the other to the other. So if he re-aggravates it, it's a tough situation because it sounds like Jordan Howard's not going to be able to play. I mean, I don't want to call him out right
Doesn't
now.
look good. Yeah,
It
look
doesn't look good. Yeah.
No.
And Boston Scott's had an
they,
illness all for most of the week.
Right. So they've got obviously Kenny Gainwell's the only true healthy guy, and plus Huntley on the practice squad, so he may have to be. In fact, I would think he would be up on for this game for the simple fact that Howard's not, as we speak now, is unlikely to play, barring something unforeseen.
Right.
So you've got Sanders playing on an ankle if he gets cleared, which he says he's playing. Okay. Scott, barring something unforeseen, is going to play. And Gainwell, you kind of need, because of, you mentioned Scott missed some practice time. Sanders on an ankle. He could aggravate it for a third time.
Right.
Well, technically a second time. He hurt it first and would aggravate it twice. You got to have Huntley up. He's a change up. He's an explosive guy. And they've got all these call ups. Why not do it? Right.
I'm with you on that one. By the way, one of my pet peeves as a journalist is the use of the word re-aggravated when it's really just aggravated. You have an injury, then you aggravate it, right? There's no re-aggravate.
Right. I mean, right. It's true. 100%.
All right. We know Jack Driscoll is out on IR with the high ankle. Kelsey, it sounds like he's going to go with the knee. He just said there was I know earlier in the week he said it was just a little bit inflammation, but it felt good. So they usually get some treatment to get that inflammation out. So we'll keep an eye on him. Fletcher Cox spoke to the media, so you got to imagine he's going to be all right. And I don't think anybody else is really major. I know Barnett had that was the weird thing. Barnett, they said, had a rib thing that took him out of the late. I didn't even notice that he came out of the game. So Josh Sweat again with the knee on the injury report, right? That's just something we got to keep our eyes on. Yeah,
I agree. Anytime it's Josh Sweat with a knee, you keep your eye on it. Now, for the Jets, man, they're another team. Crazy. They're down so many players from week one. So here's kind of their list. Zach Wilson will play on his PCL sprain. That's not in question. Corey Davis first had a hip injury, which caused him to miss a game, and then he had a groin injury pop up in a practice a couple weeks ago, so he missed last week's game. But he should be able to go this week. They seem confident. Now, here's the problem that they have. Here's your IR list. Michael Carter. They originally felt that he wouldn't go on IR, but he's got a mild high ankle sprain. But they put him on IR, which is why you're going to see Tevin Coleman, who's the guy won't go away. He seemingly always pops up somewhere. He's there because of Mike LaFleur. Tyler Kroft. Who's a veteran tight end who got paid a lot of money with the Bills. Unfortunately, he broke his foot years ago. Never was the same.
Yep.
He's on IR with a chest injury. Becton, who you'd asked about before, won't be available. Making progress, but
for them.
Yeah, it sucks. Although they feel like George Fant at left tackle has gotten better. He's can play right at left tackle. He was a college basketball player at Western Kentucky. Who would later play football. Good job by the Seahawks as an undrafted free agent developing him. But the big one was Carl Lawson tearing his Achilles. Was it a preseason game or practice? I can't remember.
It was a practice.
Okay.
It was a practice. Definitely a practice.
Yeah. So he's.
No, I don't even think it was a joint practice. I think it was it was a joint practice, but it wasn't the Eagles. I think it was I forget who else that they had joint practices against.
Don't know, but it sucked in August. And then the kid who was backing him up, they really like Bryce Huff, is on IR with a back injury. Sherwood, who's one of their inside linebackers, one of the three players who tore Achilles. He was a starter early in the season, Jamin Sherwood. Yep. Marcus May, who's on a franchise tag, tore his Achilles recently. He's done. LaMarcus Joyner, he's done for the season, torn triceps. He was their nickel. And this kid, Brandon Eccles, who came out of nowhere to win a starting job, he is a significant injury, a thigh injury. He's on IR. So we'll when we get into the matchups, this is you feel bad for these guys. This is a new staff. Their defense for most of the season has been bad, a little bit better lately. Yeah, but it's hard, man, when you don't have players available that we're supposed to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starters.
Sucks.
I count Joiners as starters at nickel, so that sucks.
Yeah, and by the way, don't forget they signed Vinny Curry. He would have been a part of this team, but he had the
illness.
Something. What was that? Say it again.
He had he has an illness.
And it was. He put it out on social media. Something internal, like a kidney, liver. I for whatever reason I can't think of it right now, but it was rough for him, and he had to take the whole year off to recover from it. So we wish him the best,
Yes.
as always. But obviously, with Lawson and Curry, that would have been a lot different than what they're able to rush the passer with right now. And they're not deep at that position, so that's a big reason why when you look at their defensive statistics, they're at the bottom at almost every category. And look, you and I like to watch good football and good football games. So to me, I don't expect fans to care. I mean, it's great that you're facing a team that has a lot of injuries.
They love it. Yeah.
As an objective observer, I just wish that some of these guys were playing, and it would have been nice to see. But that's not going to happen. So we'll see. But the Eagles have injuries now. It's not like there was a stretch there when they played the Broncos and the Saints and even the Lions. Remember how beat up the Lions were when they played them on defense? They were down like 3 or 4 corners. And we were saying, man, the Eagles, they're like almost at full strength. They missed one guy or two guys. But, if you're down Jordan Howard, if your starting quarterback's ankle is really hurting, if you're Miles Sanders, your starting running back's hurting, they're down Davion Taylor. So it's caught up to them. They're not full strength either. And we'll see how they're able to function with some of these more recent injuries.
Yep, great.
All right, we'll get into the game. Of course, I want to remind you, if you want to get an advantage over your sports book, you download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. They got a computer model that scans over 350,000 unique bets a year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports, and gives you the reason why you should make the bet. Their model covers everything from spreads to over-unders and player prop bets. And if you don't want to use the model, you prefer to do the research yourself, BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs, from sharp data to line movement, team summaries, lineup and injury breaking news, even a leaderboard to track your success. So just go to App Store or the Google Play Store now to download BetQL. There's also a website called try.betql.co/ITB. If you go there and enter the discount code ITB at checkout, you'll get 25% off their subscription offerings. And they've also got a sportsbook offers page if you live in one of the eligible states to claim free offers upon signing up at one of the many sportsbooks listed. So don't miss out on the chance to beat your sportsbook this football season. And if you do want to place a bet, football fans, we know you're going to love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game. And with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner in the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. That's right. New customers who bet $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It is that simple. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. You just combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout, because the more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code ITB, bet $1 on any team to score, and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code ITB this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Got to be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Ooh, that was the best I've ever done that last
Man,
part.
you sound like a commercial.
Sound like the Micro Machines guy on that one, man.
Very nice. That's perfect.
All right, good. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here.
Yep.
We'll start off with our discussion of the Eagles offense against the Jets defense. By the way, we were talking about Jalen Hurts, and we should mention he was limited in practice both Wednesday and Thursday. So you're
right. They didn't do anything Wednesday. They should have walked through, but
that's
Thursday,
a good point. So what I should say is they listed him as limited Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, because they list an estimation of practice. But yeah, the big news is he was limited on Thursday, and then we'll see what happens today, Friday, when they practice again. And so you imagine they're just getting Gardner some reps if he needs to be ready. I think that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. I believe Hurts when he says he's going to play, and I agree with your assessment. If a guy goes, he goes. The interesting thing about the Jets is they play a lot of man coverage. If you look at their cornerback group, clearly bottom 5, you wouldn't think they're playing between 63% zone and 35, 37 man. That's really high. That's in terms of playing man. In fact, and we'll wait to hear the Eagles numbers. It's also surprising. I think what happens is, at some point, you got to play kind of defense that you want to play. Robert Saleh running his version of the Seahawks defense.
Absolutely.
Though that's all, that's zone cover 3 with man inside that. They're obviously doing a little different, and they're playing more man than I think a lot expected. Again, they're not very talented there. Now, the question is, when Hurts drops back, who are you going to go after? As we mentioned earlier, the Eccles kid got hurt. They're not very good at corner. As a matter of fact, and this blows me away. Elijah Riley has started the last 2 games at safety. I mean, there's an opportunity here to throw it if you're gonna give him a chance to make some plays there. But again, it's just my overview is if his ankle's good enough, you got to threaten him with his legs, because Hurts is a unique running quarterback where I don't know that he runs in the 4.4s, but he got such great vision. He just seemingly always knows where to go. And every once in a while, he gets that jab step. Now, that's another thing with this ankle. He's going to have that jab step, which he gave against the Saints. Was it the Saints a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think the Broncos that he did.
Broncos,
right?
Wait,
yeah.
no, 2 weeks ago at home. That game was at home, right?
Oh, it was the Saints then. Okay.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. So one thing though, in looking at the data, as you mentioned, the Jets are playing 60 to 63% zone. You would think it would be even more given their secondary issues. That kind of folds into what we've talked about all year with the Eagles, as far as doing what you do because this is the new scheming culture, and you have to have players learn that and adapt to that. You saw all that zone that they were playing early on, right? And then also getting an evaluation while also trying to win. They're kind of going through the same thing. I mean, you would think, because maybe playing that much man isn't to the best strengths of their secondary, but they are also kind of trying to evaluate these players within the scheme that they're running. So it's kind of a fascinating conversation to see it going on somewhere else. And then the other thing that comes to my mind is, I don't know how much of this means you'll see it against the Eagles, because the Giants, and we'll talk about this more on the pregame show, I have more data, and we'll ask Cosell and Jason Avant about it. But the Giants blitzed the Eagles at a much higher rate than they've blitzed anybody else this year. So they're clearly noticing some things on tape, and then they felt, and we talked about this in the tape review podcast, the way they rushed from the edges with nickel corners and safeties. Obviously it's on tape now. The Jets saw it, so maybe we'll see the Jets do something a little bit different for what maybe they'll blitz at a higher rate and play even less zone than they're playing now. I have no idea, but it does give you a good idea of what they traditionally do.
Well, their blitz rate is right in the middle, about 24%. They've got speed and some power on the edges. John Franklin Myers is a really good football player. They claimed off waivers years ago, and they got a contract extension. Shaq Lawson, the other Lawson, came over. This is his 4th team in 3 years. I mean, he's kind of bounced around. So what you'll see is up front, and obviously Quinnen Williams is terrific, and his brother, Quincy's a linebacker. And the front seven, as we break down the Jets defense before we go to the Eagles defense, they've got speed. They're not the most talented group. They're doing better with discipline, but they're awful against the run, almost 5 yards per carry. And they're also bad at covering running backs out of the backfield. So this is something that we've seen a little bit better of, the Eagles getting the ball out of the backfield, but not enough as I would like to see. So, and Sanders took, by the way, Thursday, well, we'll see how he reacts to Thursday's practice. Sanders took all his normal reps on Thursday. So unless he feels sore today, he should be out there taking his reps. And you know what? Assuming Boston Scott didn't work Thursday, but typically if you've got an illness, you're going to miss 1 to 2 days until they let you back in the building.
Yeah, he was a DNP.
Right. Also, when you miss, it doesn't say what it is. The way that even if you have a cold now, you're not allowed in the building. Whereas if you had a cold, you practiced.
Right.
Now they don't let you in the building with anything.
No, you're at home wearing a hazmat suit for these days. I mean, yeah,
exactly.
You accidentally sneeze, and they got you in like padding, and you can barely see you anymore. So yeah,
hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't understand why the Jets are this bad against the run, Adam. Because I mean, I feel like in their front seven they have some decent. Like Mosley was a decent player. Jared Davis is a decent linebacker.
Tackle.
Yeah, Quinnen Williams is a good defensive line, a top 5 pick for them.
They're smaller though up front. They're kind of small.
Shaq Lawson.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen the Eagles be small up front, but still be an effective run stopping team. It seems odd. I don't know.
Well, Mosley's a great run stopper. See, Jared Davis is actually, the Lions turned him into a pass rusher. Talking to them, he was obviously not very good for a while, and then he comes in with Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia comes in and he makes him a pass rusher. And I have to look the numbers up. I know one year he had a decent amount of sacks. Yeah, so it's Quincy Williams, Quinnen's brother at linebacker, is pretty athletic, came over from the Jaguars, and then the other Michael Carter the second, who's now technically a starter because they'll go three corners most likely. With Bryce Hall, who I like from Virginia, who missed a lot of last season, he was on the COVID list, and Javelin Guidry, who was I think an undrafted free agent last year. So they're just not super talented on the back end. Again, if the Eagles decide they want to throw the ball, they should have some success. They should have absolutely no problem with the Jets' pressure because the Eagles' offensive line is top three. They're not a good pass rushing group. With Carl Lawson out, unfortunately, they felt so good about him. Talking to the Jets about him, he was so good in the sprint. He's everything they thought he'd be until he got hurt, unfortunately. So to me, everything points to the Eagles to have success here. No matter what they try to do, they should have success.
Yeah, man, let me get this straight. So the Jets have two guys named Michael Carter. They got two guys named Q Williams, Quincy and Quinnen.
Brothers,
and they were
brothers.
Yeah, and they got two Lawsons, Shaq and Carl. Carl being out for the year, right? So
it's crazy,
man, crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot that some of the Eagles got Denard Wilson, their secondaries coach, from the Jets, correct?
That's right. Yep.
And then do the Jets have a couple of guys from the Eagles?
Well, well, right. So hang on one second.
It's just the Jets coaching staff is basically been mostly new, right? They're brought in from Robert Saleh. I know they're coordinators.
Marquand Manuel.
Wait, Marco Manuel is there, right?
Yeah. Marco Manuel is their DB safeties coach. I'm sure that had to do with Elijah Riley coming here.
I love it. The Jets and Eagles traded their defensive backs coaches.
I know Denard Wilson, and I know the Jets are not happy that Wilson didn't come back. They thought they had him, and then I guess he changed his mind. And then Matt Burke is their game management coach, and that's who Robert Saleh pointed to. He said that because Matt Burke and Marquand Manuel they knew Elijah Riley, so they recommended him to come in. And there you go. Man, I still don't understand. The Eagles would block him everywhere. They protect him. They could have prevented him. They did the right thing by him by letting him walk because they clearly didn't think he was ready to help them on the roster. We'll see. He's starting now. I have no idea how well he's playing. We'll find out. But
right.
I'm a little surprised that they let this happen. But you know what? They clearly didn't think he was good enough. So there you go.
There you go. Well, I have to imagine the Eagles are going to be, man, they're in a tough spot here. We have a lot to find out in the next 24 hours about the health of their running backs because I'd have to imagine they really don't even want to, mess around with a 50-50 route. They'd love to probably be able to run all over the Jets, especially with Jalen, nursing the ankle. But if you don't have Jordan Howard, which probably not, and you've got a banged up Sanders, and we'll see about Boston Scott with the illness. I mean, maybe even if he plays, if you don't practice and you don't have if you're sick, everybody's been sick. When you don't feel like 100%, you can feel like a sloth out there at some point. In fact, I meant to bring this up before when you were talking about I forget who you were talking about, but Lamar Jackson had a pretty nasty bout with COVID earlier in the year, and then he had another sickness that kept him out for 2 games a couple weeks ago, and he threw 4 interceptions in a game recently, and he even said after the game that he felt like weaker. His throws were weaker than they normally are, and this is a guy who makes a lot of off-balance, kind of wacky throws on the run and needs that and has that great arm strength to be able to pull it off. So even if it's down just a little bit, you can see the difference, right? He never gets picked off 4 times in a game.
That was crazy. And Mark Schlarith, actually, it's funny you bring Lamar Jackson up. Listen to what he says. In fact, Mark, I guess, must have done one of their games, so he has a good story there. So that's kind of the look. I mean, and they're also not good at covering tight ends. I know the Eagles aren't throwing it a lot, but there's an opportunity here for Goddard to get it going here. It's not his fault. They're just not throwing the football. And there was times he was open last week, didn't get it. I'll be interested to see what the approach is here from the coaches on offense.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you should be able to do a lot of what you want to do against the Jets. They give up a lot of yards to Everett, running backs, tight ends, receivers. I mean, you really should be able to control your offense as long as everybody's healthy and can execute the game plan. All right, so let's go into the Eagles defense versus the Jets offense. First, we're going to remind you about our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience or enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you're checking out all their great content on phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation. We'll pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you happen to walk into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal.
And sell them your cars, too. They'll buy
And
it.
that's right. You want to trade in, when you're buying, trading in, anything, they'll take it. They'll pay the most. So let's talk about the Eagles defense, which, it's sort of a shame that the loss to the Giants. I think if they win that game, the defense gets talked about a whole lot more. I know it's just the Giants, but still, it was a good defensive effort. And it probably would have been, just had a lot more credit throughout the week instead of everybody piling on Jalen Reagor and piling on Jalen Hurts and piling on Sirianni. But the defense has played a lot better as of late. And the big question is there's not that much tape on Zach Wilson, a few games, and it's always, you kind of never know what to expect from a rookie quarterback who's pretty elusive in the pocket.
Yeah, he's been struggling. He is not playing. They won in spite of him last week against the Texans. I know this, though. They really think the world of him. He's very accountable, really good athlete, good arm. But he was kind of like he would get away with a lot. The word around the league was he got away with a lot in terms of off-schedule throws, and he played a certain way at BYU. A lot of personnel people liked him because he's a very aggressive thrower. He needs a full offseason to develop. He's got a very good arm, good enough size, but he gets frenetic, I guess is probably the best word, which I learned from Ron Jaworski many years ago, his favorite words. So I think that's based on what I know about him, is kind of where he's at. Their offensive line, as I mentioned, Fant now is at left tackle. He could play either side. Vera Tucker, they love. He's a left guard. They traded up for.
Good player.
He's talented from USC. Connor McGovern's not been the player. I don't think they thought they paid him a lot of money. He did get hurt. He had a knee injury. He needs to get back to where he was. And then I'll tell you what, they stole Laurent Duvernay-Tardif from the Chiefs. They got him in a trade, and in fact, the tight end that I believe Daniel Brown, I think the Chiefs wound up cutting him. Tardif's starting right now at right guard over the kid from Penn, Greg Van Roten. So this guy's remember he was a longtime starter. Then he took the year off, because he's a doctor, and he's back. And then
from Canada.
Moses, he's French Canadian. So he's starting at right guard, and they're pretty much a veteran group other than Vera Tucker. Then Morgan Moses, the former Washington right tackle. For the life of me, I checked into it. There's nothing in his tape that would suggest why they should have cut him. Based on his tape, I'd heard that he was still playing at a high enough level, but Washington, the staff didn't want him. So now he's starting at right tackle. It was going to be him and Fant at right tackles in a battle. And then unfortunately, Becton got hurt. So Fant, they have very little depth. The Eagles should definitely have an advantage. I do think on the edges a little bit, but I think it's a decent group, and we'll see. We'll see if they can pressure. But again, as I said, actually in our last show, they got to blitz. They got to come after Zach Wilson. He's not playing well. He's not sure what he's looking at. I think he does get stuck in the pocket. I would blitz the hell out of him, just like Luke Falk. Why not?
Different kind of player, but okay. Yeah,
right. But in terms of blitz percentage, bring it up, man.
Well, it's interesting because Zach Wilson had 7 interceptions in his first 3 games, which is kind of normal. A young, kid thrown into the fire like that. But since then, he's only had 3 interceptions in his 4 starts. So, and none more. He's not had more than 1 in a game since October 3rd. And now he missed 4 games. But I'm saying in the 4 starts that he's had, he's only had 1 interception in a game, never more than that. So, he had a terrible game against New England week 2 where he was picked off 4 times. Of course, the Patriots are going to do that to you. But the next time he played New England, which is the game he got hurt in, but he was 6 of 10 for 51 yards, no pick. So it looked like he had started to figure some things out going on there. And then he got hurt. Then he came back against Houston, and he was just okay, but 1 pick. So, you got to come after him. You got to try to confuse him. I think the Eagles have showed you a little more, Jonathan Gannon, a little more deception on the back end lately. Not a ton, but He'll put a
Oh,
linebacker in the A gap and then drop
yeah.
him, or he'll take a
Hmm.
safety and bring him low at the last minute. It's what Jonathan Gannon told you he's most comfortable doing right now, which is still not a lot compared to kind of where his pedigrees are, or at least
Hmm.
Minnesota, not Indianapolis. But they are doing different things, and then of course they're getting great play from Darius Slay.
I would say this: they're
Hmm.
playing. They're probably playing 35% man coverage over the last like 6 weeks.
Yeah,
They're
a lot
playing a
of third
lot of
down.
man, which tells you the trust that Gannon has. Where he was coaching scared, is what a lot of
Hmm.
people would say. Heck, we were talking about this on our pregame show, the four of us, for
Right.
several weeks, where he just was playing so vanilla and so scared to blitz, didn't trust his players. It tells you the way the tape shows you, and the way that he was coaching, he didn't trust them. Now
Hmm.
they're playing with more discipline, as you were talking about. They're doing more pre-snap and post-snap, more post-snap disguise is really what it is.
Right.
Doing more disguise, and it's shown. They play with more discipline. And this is a kid. I mean, you're going after a rookie quarterback that doesn't. Corey Davis probably won't play with his groin
Hmm.
injury. They thought earlier we get a better chance, but he hasn't practiced it through Thursday.
Hmm.
So um, they're you're going to face Eli Moore as their Z, who I love.
Hmm.
So who's really come on lately. And Jamison Crowder will be the slot. Here's the other problem is that Keelan Cole, who's your top backup receiver, he's on the COVID list. And they just got Denzel Mims back from
Right.
the COVID list. He's been out for 4 weeks. You were talking about illness. Who the heck knows how he's going to feel? And they don't use their tight ends very much. So the Eagles should. The only thing I could see is with remember Michael Carter's not here as their starting running back. So you've got Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson as a changeup.
Right.
They should hold this team down. They should not give up many points.
I could see Jamison Crowder catching 10 passes for like 85 yards. Just
Against
because
Maddox, huh?
teams have been able, well, I don't think, again, they're going to play a lot of zone. I think the Jets will try to come out and throw the ball a little bit early just to get Wilson in a rhythm. That's his safety valve. I think 85 yards on 10 catches is a win for a defense, right? Whenever a guy
There we
averages
go.
eight and a
Yeah,
half per
yeah.
catch, but I can just see because the Eagles still have those soft spots in the zones that people attack, and I could just see Jamison Crowder catching a lot of passes, but not getting a whole lot of yards out of it. That's like a
I
vintage
yeah,
Jamison Crowder type of game.
I agree in that the way that the Jets are playing, their offense is not. It's a bottom like 5 to 7 offense.
Yeah,
Moore's
yeah.
the kid that you worry about because they're moving him. He's had some really good games, so he's the one
Hmm.
guy you got to keep an eye on. But their tight ends barely get the football. It's
Yeah.
an offensive line that's decent, but you can beat them. So overall, look, when you look at both sides of the football, the Eagles should win here. They shouldn't struggle. The last week was about drop passes, inaccuracy, guys not being on the same page on offense. Defense, as you said, was solid. This
Hmm.
game to me is certainly in the same stadium. So bizarre. It's just very winnable. They cannot lose this game. There's no way that they could lose this game. I just can't. I'd be shocked. I know that they beat the Titans earlier. I get it. They were
Hmm.
healthier when they beat the Titans at home 27-24, but things have changed for them and they're really offensively challenged.
If I'm playing man trail, like if it's third down and I'm blitzing, I'm probably this is me spitballing. I'm no
Yeah.
expert. I might put Slay on Elijah Moore, Maddox on Crowder, and take my chances with Steven Nelson on Corey Davis. Even though that's not a great matchup,
I
I'm
don't think
hoping my
Dave's going to
pass
play
rush
though.
gets
Yeah.
there. What's that?
I don't think Davis is going to play though.
Oh, that's right. He's hurt. No, perfect
Yeah.
example. Then you can exactly why you would put Slay on the very twitchy Elijah Moore, and then obviously Crowder can be defended by Maddox, and then whoever, whether it's Mims or whoever they put out there at wide receiver.
Oh, Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith is the shot play guy. Yes.
Jeff
They
Smith. Oh boy.
Yeah, he went to Boston College. They never throw to him, but when they do, it's usually deep. It's funny you mentioned that. And then Mims is our
What
friend.
about
Remember, we
Berrios?
had him.
Does
What's
Berrios
that?
still play for them? Don't they
Oh
have
yeah,
a
I'm
kid?
sorry, my bad. Yeah, Braxton Barrios is a slot receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's annoying. Like he'll have this one game where you go, oh my god, where do these 12 pass targets come from? Then you don't hear from him.
Yeah. He's like a
That's
poor
a good
man's
point
Chris
by you.
Hogan.
Yeah, they remember they brought Chris Hogan out of retirement or whatever's he playing lacrosse. He didn't
Yeah.
retire for good. But
Yep.
Mims, it's a shame that he went on the COVID list and has been out for a while. Well, I don't know how much he'll be able to play. I don't know how he's feeling.
Yeah.
But again, to sum this up here of the
Hmm.
matchups, the Eagles have a lot of advantages here. Coaches, particularly Gannon's doing a very good job. I like your point about, although I'm a little bit worried because Moore's really twitchy. I love the term that you use for Moore. He's really twitchy. I don't know if this is good for Slay.
Hmm.
I know people beat him up. Oh, when he goes against big guys, he might struggle. But This kid is so fast. They don't usually switch sides. When they play man, they play sides. They don't usually move. They don't play sides. So
Right.
I would try to jam him more. I'd try to disrupt his timing.
All right. All right. So again, like, it's funny you said the Jets are bottom 5 in something there. I'm like, they're bottom 5 in pretty much everything. Unfortunately, it's been a rough year for them. Let's do our predictions. You really got to think about this.
I do. I know where I'm going here.
Well, let me first. Yeah, while you think about it, I mean, I got to give the important information.
Yes.
From DraftKings as far as what the spread is and what the over under is in the game. The Eagles are favored again by 7, but biggest favorites for the Eagles this year, and especially on the road.
Man.
Third straight week, by the way, that they are favored, even though they're coming off a loss. And the over under
against the Saints, were they?
They were favored against the Saints. Yeah.
Saints? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were favored against the Saints and the Giants.
So you got it 7 and what? What's the over under?
44.5, which is a low scoring game. Yeah. What? High for maybe because the Jets don't have any weapon, but in general, that's probably one of the lowest over unders of the week.
No, but I'm just saying for both teams are offensively challenged.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right. I can see it being a struggle to get to 41.
Is it going to be? Their defense is as bad as the Lions, where it's going to be 44-6 or whatever the hell it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go Eagles 24, Jets 13.
24 Eagles 24, Jets 13. I'm going to say Eagles 30, Jets 13. I think the Eagles are getting a defensive touchdown.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the offense is going to just explode. I just think that they're going to get a defensive touchdown.
And I would play the Eagles for defense for fantasy. I mean, depending on your scoring, obviously, it's important that you know you're scoring because they should not give up any points. They did it decently last week. If you get points for credit for points against in this game, they certainly should. And I'd be very. They to me would be one of the top fantasy defenses of the week.
That's true. All right, so those are our predictions. We'll cover it even more at our pregame show from 10 a.m. till 12 on Sunday, and then after the watch party. So again, come out and join us. Give us the code Myalata, the secret password there, and we'll give you something, some signed memorabilia as a gift for coming out and hanging with us.
What if 50 people come to us? What are we going to give out?
About Trust me. Lunch. No, that's when we start signing things. That's right. The whole lunch is on us. No, it'll be a good time. Check at Inside Birds on Twitter for all of the watch party and pregame show information. And thanks to everybody who's been leaving 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Please continue to do so. It's really helping us out in the charts. And I guess this week, Apple decided to tell people. We saw a lot of screenshots of what podcasts they've been listening to the most. And we got so many screenshots sent to our at Inside Birds Twitter account of saying Inside Birds #1 on their podcast list. So we really appreciate that.
It helps keep us for free, by the way. Yeah. The advertising money, just real quick, just understand the advertising money we make goes into our company. We have to pay the people who work with us.
Of course.
And we don't really keep a lot of money. We put it to the website and we're able to keep the show free, and we appreciate your support. That's really what we do. We never got into this to make money. It's to help the fan be educated better, to help us learn more about football and the Eagles, and we appreciate your support.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, and please continue to leave those 5-star reviews and help us out. That'll do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Also, check out the great work from our producer, Hunter Brody. His website is broadsmedia.com. His YouTube channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. So check out his great work as well. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.